What are zero-day exploits? Well, before we go into this topic, we need to understand the basics. What is the exploit, what is a threat, and what is a vulnerability? A vulnerability is basically any weakness in any security or any defense that can be exploited to gain any unauthorized access. A threat is anything that can use a vulnerability intentionally or accidentally to cause damage. An exploit is the way that you use the vulnerability to cause the damage. It could be a software program in the tech world. I know this seems hard and daunting, but let's take an analogy here. Let's imagine a castle. There is a commander here who wants to attack this castle and take over it. Well, the commander at first notices that this castle has a water entrance, and then he thinks that I can send my men with their boats and I can tell them the plan to go from this entrance, this water entrance, and get inside the castle and then open the doors for us and take over this castle. If we look here, we know that inside this castle, the vulnerability is the weakness in this castle. This castle at the first seems pretty secured, but the commander came and he saw a weakness. He saw a gap where he can send his men and they can take over the castle. That's why we call the vulnerability is the weakness that you can use to take over the thing. Now the exploit here is the way that the commander thought of using the vulnerability. We have a weakness, we saw a weakness and we need to use that weakness into our advantage. The risk is for the people inside the castle, they will be losing their castle. That's the risk and the threat for them. Now let's dive deeper into the exploit. The exploit is simply any computer program that uses a vulnerability. For example, we have a login page that doesn't limit the number of times that you can enter your password. This is a vulnerability because you notice and you see that you can enter as many passwords as you would like to enter. Now you can write a program that tries thousands and hundreds of thousands of passwords in 1 single minute. This is the exploit, the program that you write to use and take advantage of vulnerability to make and gain access and make a threat. Luckily, now the exploits could be explored by ethical hackers. Ethical hackers will report and share these exploits on the public internet with something known as the common vulnerability exposure, which is a well-documented space for them, and system administrators can log an access to this exploits all over the internet, and then they can patch their systems. For example, we have the exploit database, which is one of the most famous websites for common vulnerability exposure. Now we haven't talked about the zero-day exploit. What is it? As you now know the exploit, we need to ask ourselves, what if someone found a vulnerability and he decided he didn't want to report it? He wanted to keep it to himself. This is the zero-day exploit because nobody knows about the exploit, even the system administrator. The zero-day word here refers to the fact of how many days the person responsible for patching the system have known about the system, and that's why we call it 0 days, because nobody knows about this exploit, which makes it very, very, very dangerous to the system. Thank you for watching. See you later.